Hey everyone, this is Steve Machuga from Welcome to WUBRG, and while I'm new to Magic the Gathering, having just started in February 2025, I've been in the games industry for 15 years, and a large chunk of that was playing fake games journalist, doing interviews with game developers and publishers. Now that I'm in the Magic space, I figured I'd start reaching out to folks who are out there doing Magic stuff and start picking their brains, kind of get caught up a little bit. I figured the first person I needed to talk to was TexasTCGTrading. He found me on the floor at MagicCon Atlanta, floundering around out there by myself. He took me under his wing, introduced me to a pile of great content creators and card players who will probably be guests on this show eventually. So I figured he should be the first one in the shoot for this pilot episode of what I hope will be the start of my eventual WUBRG podcast empire. So without further ado, Eric, also known as TexasTCGTrading, for the first episode of Welcome to WUBRG Radio. Okay, who am I talking with today?
What's up, y'all? I'm TexasTCGTrading. I host trade nights and charity tournaments around the country.
And so how do we know each other, actually? Good question there.
So we met Vegas 2024, MagicCon Vegas, through our mutual friends, Eric, Guild Pack, which is Bells. I guess, I mean, he posts as Eric, right?
Yeah. No? Oh, it's Eric and Bells.
So Eric and Bells, wonderful married couple that I met on the previous MagicCon Vegas, literally the last day. They're incredibly kind. I just went up to them and started talking to them. Had no clue that either of them made content, nothing about either of them, especially Bells. And yeah, we were just chatting. And then I followed Bells and Girls Play and then eventually Guild Pack and then said, hey, I'm going to Vegas. And so we hung out there. And then that's how I met you.
And there you go. And big part of the reason why you are our premier number one first interview here for WUBRG Radio was you single-handedly changed the trajectory of MagicCon Atlanta for me, because I showed up knowing nobody. Like, I just showed up and was just like, well, we'll see what happens. I'm here to play some Magic and we'll see what happens. And we just literally ran into each other coming off the escalator. And you had a crowd of people, and I'm just kind of like, hey, Steve, what's up? How you doing? And it was off to the races, man. It was like you brought me into your little crew there, and we all hung out at the Airbnb that night. And I met Goblin, aka Grant, and he wrecked us with his Lady Octopus deck, which now I need a copy of that deck now. But yeah, it was great. It changed everything. It was awesome. I met a bunch of great content creators and a lot of fun. So wanted to, as a token of my appreciation, I figured I could crash you through the first, pilot episode of WUBRG Radio here and get to know you a little bit more as well. So,
well, I'm honored to be here as a first guest, and it was my pleasure, man. You were awesome to hang out with, and it was super great. And we got to experience some hilarious stuff, especially at that one beer garden, which I won't slander their name, but good gracious.
Oh, you're allowed to slander their name. That was bad. It does make you wonder if that's just every Friday night. So the beer garden across from the convention center, or in walking distance of the convention area, there's only one of them, and they were having a bad night. Although also, yes, that was their Friday night crew, right? And they were just
yeah. I mean,
hit us with a story. I want to hear it. Like, go ahead and tell the audience. Like, we're sitting there like, whoa, it was something.
Oh my goodness. So we were eating, and everyone ordered. It was a group of about like 11 of us, I believe. And so it was standard beer fare, German like schnitzel sausages, and then of course pretzels with cheese, which was very crucial for the story because one of our members, BCC MTG Hazen, ordered the pretzel with cheese, and our lovely bartender / server, which, hey, maybe he was having a crazy night. I don't know. I'd like to give him the benefit of the doubt. This is not who he is on the regular basis. But Hazen ordered a pretzel with some cheese, and when all the food showed up, he was like, where's my cheese? And the guy said, hey, you don't want none of that shit. It tastes terrible. Plus, we're out of it anyway. And then just left. And we were completely dumbfounded, and we haven't really been able to process that properly ever since. And there's a whole lot of other things, but I'll say this: I've never been served by a malignant narcissist before, and it was a very interesting experience.
Malignant narcissist. That's an interesting way to put it. I just thought it was a bunch of people who were over. Somebody called off, I guess, and I don't know what the hell was going on, but it took 2 hours to get our food. Everybody
Yeah.
was cranky and acting like we were the assholes for even being there. Like, how dare you order food? And yeah, it was nuts. The food was great, but boy, howdy, that was a
Yeah,
trial and
and the beer
tribulation.
seemed great too. I think they brew some of their beer in house, and it seemed good. I didn't get to try any because I was trying not to dehydrate, which ended up happening anyway, unfortunately, that night because Atlanta is very soupy. And
Soupy.
yeah,
That's a good way to put it. Yes, it's very damp. One of the first videos I cut was like, what is with the smell coming off of these people? You literally just got off the plane. How are you guys not showering already? And then I stepped outside and I'm like, oh, there it is. Okay, I get it.
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
oh shit, that might be me too.
Well, I
Um,
definitely try not to be that magic player, so I kept the deodorant on me as much as possible.
good boy. Definitely a good thing. That's another thing to keep in mind when you're thinking about going to a Magic Con is not only going with people, but I think people generally think like, oh, I'm going to a Magic Con and I'm going to play my ticketed events or I'm going to play I'm going to play Commander. I'm going to do whatever. I'm going to see some stuff. I'm going to buy some cards. And they don't think there's like a whole other convention experience around it that you can't plan for, like the beer garden, where it's just like, that will be something that little crew that I was with, we will never forget that because it's one of those. Do you remember that beer? Like 3 years from now,
Oh my goodness.
we'll come back to Atlanta, and that of course will that beer garden will be like, you want to go to the beer garden? Eh?
Oh
You want to
my
go to the beer
goodness.
garden? We got to go to the beer
Oh my
garden, guys.
goodness. At that point, it's like
How much
we
time do
don't
we
have
have?
terrible.
We got 3 hours. We got to go to the beer garden.
We don't have
We
anything
gotta
planned,
go.
right?
Holy shit, Deontay, is that you? Are you back again? Are you still serving here? You suck so bad. How do you still work here?
Again, watch
Holy.
him be the owner. I mean,
Right. Yeah. It's like, so all right. Texas, you name yourself after a state. What's that about? What's Texas TCG trading?
right. Yeah. So I'm born and raised in Texas. I was born on the border, Laredo to be specific, and I've lived in Texas my whole life so far. A little bit in and out because of the pandemic, but pretty much my whole time here. And so the TCG part is because even though I love Magic, it's a big part of what I do and a big part of how I spend my time. I've been a fan of the Pokemon card game since I was a little kid. I used to play the Yu-Gi-Oh card game when it came out, and I also love One Piece, as you can tell by the hat, and Gundam and Lorcana. I also do some stuff with. So ultimately, I feel like I'm a huge fan of all card games in general, and I'm also always looking for new ones and looking to try and do new things out. And I even collect poker cards. So anything cardboard, I'm usually into. And the trading part of the name is because I also host trade nights, like I said earlier, and it's a big part of what I do. I'm trying to build more community here in Austin and elevate Texas is as a premier spot for things like MagicCon and other big events like the Pokemon World Tournament and all that. So ultimately, I think trading is a really big part of card games in general, and I think that it helps build community and it helps just kind of bring the fun back into something that I think for a while was more about the buying and selling and maximizing my profit and all that kind of stuff.
Was that originally the concept of TCG trading? Was like, I'm going to make money trading cards, and like, was that the
No, so
original concept?
eventually the goal is eventually, the trade nights was a way to. I found a guest, so I wanted to start making content after doing festivals and events and things like that for 20 years outside of the collecting space, and I started wanting to make content after being laid off 3 times in a row in the last this last year. So I was like, you know what? I'd already seen the writing on the wall. I already started making content. I started doing pack openings, and then I started talking to the community. I got really inspired by Deep Pocket Monsters in the Pokemon space. He hosts his own convention called Card Party. So I got really inspired by his trade nights on YouTube, and then I started talking to the community here in Austin. I realized nobody was doing it, so I saw a hole, and I wanted to fill the gap. And I wanted to, because I didn't want to just start doing pack openings just to do pack openings. I've always been someone that wants to add, not just continue something that's already been done by a lot of other people. So I found something I thought could be unique and elevate. And actually, I've noticed trade nights have gone up in Texas since then, even in Austin directly. And now I'm not going to take full credit for that, but if I did have influence on that, amazing, because that's kind of the whole point. The next step for me on sort of the money making part of it, to make this a sustainable career, is bring my event experience and produce my own convention that's heavy on the trading, heavy on Texas, heavy on elevating local stores, kind of like MagicCon, but for all the things that I represent, that it has a heavy emphasis on Texas. So,
Hmm.
that'll be through standard ticket sales and things like that. But also, there'll be meet and greets with people like yourself and other content creators that I've been working with throughout the years or throughout the last couple months. So yeah, I think it's just a great way to provide another platform for everyone that I've been working with.
So cardboard crack sounds like a big part of your life. Do you have other hobbies outside of collecting and magic that you enjoy, or is it just this is what I
Yeah.
do? And
So I do some woodworking. That's actually kind of what I was doing during the pandemic, and was my first foray foray into content creation. My dad and I used to do like tables, desks, bread boxes, knife handles, all sorts of stuff, cutting boards. But then I kind of moved away from that because it's very dirty. You need a lot of protection for your lungs and things like that, especially if you want to keep doing acrylic pouring and all that, because that's kind of where it's the most popular. I also like to do gardening. I haven't done it in a long time, but I love growing vegetables, tomatoes, onions, green bean, things like that. At my old house before the pandemic, I had a pretty vibrant garden with my roommate. I'm also into gaming. I started playing WoW again recently, and I
oh
love
boy,
RPGs. Yeah, it's I might get out of. I might need to taper my WoW play off a little bit. It's my first month back, so we'll see. But I also just love RPGs in general, Zelda games like that, where it's kind of a slower, more solo experience. You kind of jump in, jump out. Yeah, I also like to read. I try to read a book a year. I used to read a lot more when I was a kid, but I mean, life is so busy now.
not
It's
just
hard
that.
to
God
find
bless
time.
you. It's one of those things like, oh, I'm reading a book. It's like, well, I'm listening to it on Audible.
I've
But
tried that. I've tried. It's funny because I love podcasts. I love YouTube. Big YouTube fan. Um, but I've tried Audible and I can't get into it. I
really,
have to actually read the book. Yeah.
wow, that's a rarity in this day and age of ADHD and people like constant distractions. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love just throwing. I mean, perfect thing to throw on an audio book while you're just sitting here mindlessly, shuffling through and organizing cards. But
Yeah.
yeah,
That's a good point. That's a good
yeah,
point. Yeah. That's usually where I do
multitasking.
my YouTubes. That's usually where I catch up on my
Oh
news.
yeah,
It'll
there you
be
go, there you
YouTube or
go.
something
Yeah,
like
just
that.
have the number of things that I'm listening to on YouTube of all things. It's like I have a YouTube. What is it? I forgot what the name of the account is, like YouTube Prime or whatever. So you don't get
Premium. Yeah.
premium. Yeah, or it's just like, yeah, it's a podcast now. And it's like, okay, weird. So I
Yeah.
hear you.
Big fan of YouTube. I kind of use it as like continuing education essentially.
Yeah, I should be doing that. Every time I'm like, I should be learning a language. I should be doing something creative. And it's like, nah, I'm listening to comedy podcasts and
Yeah,
other magic, again, like,
that you could just call that you're just taking a sociology class,
yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. So let's hear, or obviously this is more magic focused. So let's hear some Magic the Gathering stuff. We were talking pet peeves from Magic the Gathering. Give me something that's in the current state of play. What's bothering you in Magic?
Yeah, so specifically, I mostly play Commander. I won't even get into 60 card because that's a whole other can of worms. But mostly in Commander, I'd say my biggest pet peeve is that the deck building is getting a little limited. Unless you have a play group where everyone is totally non-competitive and completely agrees that they're just going to play the jankiest thing possible. It's kind of a dual pet peeve because the other side of it is the bracket system. I think it's not sufficient to communicate what your deck does. I think that it's like 1, 2, and then 3 is the Grand Canyon, and then 4, 5. So I think ultimately decks are starting to look kind of the same. They're starting to, unless, like, if you want to lose, then you could do whatever you want. But you actually want to win, and you actually want to do something. It's not even just winning; it's just doing things, having game actions. There's a lot of auto includes. There's a lot of deck space that's spoken for. You don't have a lot of room to really work with things. And like, for example, in Lorcana, you can do fun things still, like a puppy deck, and be viable. Whereas if you try to do a typal deck, even I ran into this problem. I tried to build a fairy deck, and it was a janky, busted two piece of crap because it didn't have a lot of the things you need to actually be competitive, or even just, like I said, take game actions. And then even little things like I want to play the 3-drop black removal, but why would I play that over the 2-drop black removal when there's so much 2-drop black removal? So a lot of those little choices are kind of already spoken for, and it would be nice to eventually have something. I know people have tried to expand it by doing things like Oathbreaker, and I know there's some other styles that have come around, and maybe even something like a Popper Commander would be more popular. But I don't like the idea of limiting rarity. I just want to limit, you know, maybe we need to have more tabletop ban lists or something, just to spice things up a little bit more.
So now you were talking about being a fan of just every single card game out there, and it sounds like you are. You said there's a new Gundam game out there as well.
Yeah, Gundam, based on pretty much all the Gundam series that have been out, and I know there's a few new ones currently that are going to have some releases for it. But yeah, it's a 50 card format because the land or the resources are their own separate deck, which is common for anything that comes from Bandai. And so it's a 60 card deck, but you really play with 50. And yeah, it's a really fun game. It's super interesting. I do think that there's going to need to be some design updates to make it like sustainable. But it's so brand new. They're barely about to have the second set come out. So, and the other cool thing is they're integrating little minis. So they're kind of trying to capture the
Oh wow, yeah,
Gundam building side of things.
makes sense.
And yeah, I think it's really cool because the Gundam world is similar to One Piece. I mean, I think it's actually probably even deeper, and even more robust. So I think that's something that if they get it right, I mean, they could be doing that for years.
So obviously, Magic is, I'm guessing, your favorite card game. But what would you say would be like a close second or third as far as collectible card games out there?
Yeah, so I would say right now it's probably One Piece. The One Piece card game is amazing to both play. I know, right? The hat's kind of
I just kind of gives it away.
but I mean, yeah, all jokes aside, it's really fun to play. It's very, very popular, so there's a lot of people to play with. Um, and the card quality is absolutely amazing. And I think there's a lot of really cool design things that they're doing for the cards themselves that Magic could take some cues from. And they even influenced Pokemon recently because it's kind of a hot take, but some of the Pokemon cards that just came out definitely feel very similar to some One Piece cards that have been coming out
Really?
in terms of design elements like embossings and things like that.
Huh.
And even just,
Interesting.
yeah, so
Drama.
yeah, right. So it's definitely making a splash. And then plus just from like a lore perspective, again, it's a very deep show. It's got thousands of episodes, tons of
Oh yeah,
cool
that's good
characters,
point.
and yeah, and fun things to play. I will say from a tournament perspective, there's already some narrowing that's happening, which I think is, it's anything that's got tournament play, that's got 60 cards, because again, it's basically a 50 plus resource deck game. You're gonna have some homogenization, and I think that they're already struggling with that a little bit. So hopefully they'll make some bold choices and ban some cards and let people open up the pool a little bit again. But we'll see. They're still growing. They're about to have their first rotation, and I think that's a good test for a card game. Once everyone's favorite cards kind of get thrown out and reprints are a thing and all that kind of stuff, if people stick around and keep playing, then I think that's a really good sign.
All right, now back to Magic because I'm selfish like that. Give me something that you're enjoying about the Magic community.
I mean, as cheesy it is, I would say it's the gathering itself, the community itself. It's so robust, so diverse, so interesting, so many unique personalities and really interesting perspectives, and people, that traditionally were not Magic players. Um, it, it's changed so quickly in such a short amount of time, and I think it's been really amazing. I grew up on the border where it's not a very diverse place. It's actually considered, for a long time, it was considered the least diverse city in America because it was 98% Hispanic. So I didn't have a lot of like uh, differences, because even though it's mostly Hispanic, it was also a very specific kind of Hispanic monoculture that wasn't very pro nerd things, especially now. I think it's grown a lot, but there weren't LGSs. We were doing our Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments in the mall before the mall opened, and the people I was playing with were not very nice and not very welcoming to, a young child. And I think, and then even when I moved to Austin, I mostly played with family. I had a really strong play group in middle school, which is where I actually discovered Magic. This card behind me, Pacifism from Tempest with Karn on it, for some reason, just hook, line, and sinker made me really fall in love. And so, yeah, ultimately, even coming to Austin in the early to mid 2000s, there still wasn't even a huge play group, and there still weren't as many stores as there are now, and still not as many places. Pat's Games has kind of been the cornerstone for a long, long time of the Magic community here, and now there's tons of stores you can go play at all over the city, and that's a very new development. So I love how quickly the community has grown. And then an interesting side note, I love how there's a lot of overlap with the LGBTQ community, especially with the trans community. I haven't talked to members, who identify with the community, with both communities that way, about why there's so much overlap. But I think it's really, really cool that it seems like it's something that's just passively happening, and to be a part of a community that just naturally is open and accepting to people from all those spaces without even really trying, I think is really, really cool.
It's really weird you mentioned that because going to MagicCon, I did not have a single bad interaction with a human being there. And I think there's a part where everybody is just in such a heated rush to get I want to play cards with people, and I'm not with my usual play group, and you're going to have to do. So I'm going to sit down and like, all right, tell me about yourself. Or it's like, I mean, there were definitely games where it's like, you don't need to tell me your name. I'm just here to kick your butt. But there was just times like, oh, hey, tell me. Like, it was very open, and people trying to interact with other people, and it's strange. I don't know what that is, but I guess it's people just trying to play Magic, and everything else is a secondary at best.
I think it's very much a community that cares way more about your actions than the container you come in.
Yeah, yeah.
And because you'll get hated on more for what you do in a game than what you look like
Oh
by a
yeah.
mile.
Oh, this guy's a land destruction guy. All right. Well,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what you're gonna
cool.
become known for. That's what people are gonna judge you for.
So, you said you're a commander player earlier. Who you playing right now? What are some of commander decks that you've got built out?
So I've kind of considered, now that I'm a streamer and a content creator, I've kind of considered each MagicCon, the months in between, as like a season for me. So I actually just did a refresh. So first and foremost, my pet deck, since getting back into paper Magic, will always be Gimbal. I think Teamer, which is a blue, red, green, is just always gonna be my favorite combo of colors, I think. So I'm a Simic player at heart, blue, green. And then that red just kind of adds a little extra spicy chaos that I can kind of have fun with. So I think that's why I'm always going to enjoy those colors. So Gimbal will always be top. He may not be featured as a player, but he'll always be in my back pocket as my favorite deck.
And
My
what does
best deck.
Gimbal do?
So Gimbal is artifact tokens, but you need to create as many different ones as possible.
And
So you want to have a variety. So to go wide, but I'll be honest, a lot of that time, that's all just a smokescreen, because I'm actually just trying to do infinite BS with Peregrine Took and Nuka Cola Machine.
oh, you're trying. Oh,
So
you're an infinite guy, huh?
yeah,
I've
so
met.
that's another thing too. I'm not an aggressive player. I'm not a super politicking player. I'm more of a don't look over here, I'm doing something
Sure. Well,
kind
that's
of a player.
that's generally most people. It's like you pay
Yeah,
attention to what you're doing. I'm going to pay attention, and then somewhere you're going to go aha, and they go
yeah,
damn it.
exactly.
I'm building my Fortnite apartment vertical over
Yes,
here, and
yes.
you're building yours, and you stay over there. I'm going to stay over here, and then somewhere we're going to have to come together. And so yeah.
Yes. So if you know what I'm doing, then it's usually an issue. But I tend to build decks where it's like, leave me alone, please. So, because I also don't like making those enemies right away. That's why I'm not an aggressive player. But I've also forced myself with a few decks I'm about to mention. So Gimbal is always my back pocket. But for my season right now, I'm playing Tifa, which is Naya multi combat. Tifa martial artist. I'm playing Ian Convalescent Charmer, which is actually Tassiger, so that's Sultai Reanimator Self Mill. And then I'm playing Infinite Guide Light Station, which
Oh,
is
wow. Okay.
WUBRG,
Yep.
and it's actually WUBRG Transformers. So I went with that so I could play all the Transformers cards that have come out. And then the final one is Lizard Mono Green Connor's Curse.
Oh, so the actual from Spider-Man.
Yeah, yeah, and
Okay.
it's actually going pretty well. So it's a landfall
Mono green. All right.
ETB counters right now. That's pretty much what it does.
How is that different from your Tifa deck? Because I thought Tifa was also like not counters, but she gets power based on
Yeah,
landfalls.
so Tifa's all big beaters. Everyone's got 6, 7, 8 mana. I mean, 6, 7, 8 power, trample, menace, flying. I got a Chroma's Will in there. So that's just about multiple combats and getting that damage in. Because as soon as even just 1 point of damage gets through from the 7 or higher, you get to do another combat.
Oh, different Tifa. I thought that was the one, the landfall one
Oh
where
no,
you
yeah, it's
doubled.
a Naya Tifa. Yeah, Tifa martial artist. It's not the landfall one. It's
Okay.
the green, red, white Tifa.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that was a.
Yeah, the alternate commander from the precon.
Oh, okay. Got it. All right. So, what's one thing that you want the audience here to know about you as a human being, TCG trading, anything that isn't covered in your content or magic or cards that you like people to know about?
Oh well, I mean, I have a musical theater background, and I've been on stage a few times.
There you
And
go. That's
I once
definitely.
played Angie the Ox and a Russian in Fiddler on the Roof.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, I'm like, what, a Russian? And like, oh, the second you said that, I'm like, there it is.
Which is funny because my girlfriend's Russian, so it came
Yeah.
full circle.
How long ago was that?
Ooh, man. I mean, I think I
You said
was,
musical theater. That had to.
yeah, I haven't done a play in almost 15 years.
Okay, so been a hot minute.
Yeah, because as soon as I left college, I started doing just like concerts, festivals, all that kind of stuff. So it's been a long time.
Didn't so you went to school for what now?
So I went for musical theater. Well, not musical theater specifically, but lighting for theater. Kind of had to make my own, kind of plan, especially because I had no interest in going to grad school. And then after going to UT for 5 years, I decided to move on because it wasn't quite. I was not. It wasn't really working out. I had to retake a lot of stuff that wasn't theater based because theater just takes up so much of your time. And eventually, I had an opportunity to start my own business, producing my own stuff, and I just went ahead and did that instead.
All righty then. All right. Well, Eric, I appreciate you coming out. Thank you for sitting through the gauntlet here and dealing with all the technical difficulties as you get in a pilot episode. So thank you. Where can people find you on the internet?
So I am everywhere right now except for Twitter, and so you can get me on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, all of those as Texas TCG Trading.
I mean, you probably don't have to fight too much with the social media with a name that long. It's like
I've been lucky. I've
very
been lucky. I got all
nice.
the parts of it I wanted.
Well, thank you for coming out today, Texas. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you.